Hey guys, and welcome back to A&J Education YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to do really well in your A-level in politics. So if you're interested in politics A-level, or you're already studying it and want to get an A-star, keep watching. Hey, so we're very fortunate to be joined by my colleague Jamie.
Hi.
How you doing, Jamie?
I'm good, you?
Yeah, good. So Jamie studied A-level politics at school, I hope, followed by the PP degree from Oxford, and currently working with myself and our other colleagues helping A&J Education students to smash their A-level politics and university admissions out of the park. So, Jamie, why should somebody do politics? Isn't it a bit of a useless subject? I mean, unless you become an MP?
Yeah, for sure. I think politics does have a bit of a stereotype of being a bit of like a fluffy, like non-subject. I think politics is really useful because, especially maybe it's just a UK thing, but people aren't really aware of the way the world works, or specifically how the UK works and how, what Boris Johnson says today will affect all of us tomorrow. So I think in that sense, politics is just interesting because it's something I don't think most people know about. But on a more practical level, I think politics is quite impressive if you want to go into like some sort of social science or humanities-based subject. And the reason for that is it really requires quite a lot of critical thinking and quite a lot of learning how to build arguments, construct them, come up with counter arguments, and be able to like read sources and be able to like critically evaluate them. And I think that universities really value that because they know that the next generation of students are going to need, with like fake news and stuff like that, they're going to need to be able to sit down, look at something, and kind of go, does this add up or does this not, rather than just kind of taking things as they are. So I think universities really are starting to look for people who can think critically, and politics is a really good subject for that.
Interesting. So it's almost like it helps you to have a lie detector in your head.
Yeah, almost, yeah, for sure. And it's kind of like you kind of learn what arguments make sense and what don't, and you can kind of learn when a politics is like spinning, or politician, is spinning something. So yeah, it's definitely more useful beyond just becoming an MP. In fact, most MPs have not done politics. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Okay. And how do you actually do well in the subject? So what are some of your best techniques?
For sure. So one of the tricky things about politics is the specification's quite minimal. So they kind of say you need to learn about this thing, but because they know that things are changing, sometimes day by day, they don't make it really specific what you need to know. So your best bet is to learn the theory from like a textbook, and then learn or try and find examples from real life. So I would definitely say it's as important to read the textbook and understand those theories as it is for you to spend an hour. I think one way you could do revision, like a revision hour, doesn't have to just be making notes. It could also be going on The Guardian or BBC News for an hour and finding things that kind of back up points you make. If you need a bit more direction with that, perhaps ask your teacher, hey, what sort of areas should I be looking at if I want to find evidence or examples of this or that? YouTube's also really good for that. There's quite a few politics teachers on YouTube who kind of keep up to date, and every year or two come up with new examples of modern examples of theories that you've been learning in class. And then beyond that, I really do think politics is just pure practice. Once you've got the content locked in, a lot of the time it's about how good can you argue this point? Is the evidence that you're using in this moment of time good enough? Is it a right match for what you're trying to say? Are you picking easy counter arguments that you can knock down really easily? And if you're doing that, they'll kind of go, well, you kind of copped out, you kind of picked the easy thing to knock down. Choose the hardest point and then argue against that. Those are the sorts of things you need to learn to do. And unfortunately, you can only do that by just doing practice, consistent practice, getting used to using key terms all the time. I think that's kind of the key to success, and don't forget that planning's important as well. Plan your essays. I will always say this to every student I teach. Yeah.
No, that's really good. And, one for me is, I never did politics, but, in the essay writing subject, you can go back and you can look at the last 10 years worth of past papers and look at every type of question that comes up, right? And of course, it sounds like you need to be reading newspapers and kind of watching the news in politics, which you don't have in physics or economics. But, if you stay up to date, what doesn't change is the type of questions.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I completely agree there. It's, it's not as if every question in the last 10 years has been identical, but they all follow the same themes. You can kind of say a typical example of this would be, evaluate how well, the executives, so like the cabinet and the prime minister, control parliament, right? And then the next year they'll just flip the question the other way, and then the afterwards they'll flip it. So you start to kind of learn patterns and general things. So it's really good to collect exam questions, into like a bundle that are roughly the same, and think about how you would answer them. But one key piece of advice I would give is do not make generalized essays. So if you want to get the top marks, the A's and the A stars, you need to make sure that every point in your paragraph that you make is answering that specific question. So if you think that you can just learn a bunch of pros and cons of a certain, part of the country, like the courts or something like that, and then just regurgitate that in an exam, you will not get the highest marks because, it says in loads of examiners' like reports, they say, most people just kind of give a general discussion about if this thing's good or bad rather than answering a specific question. So bundling questions together and coming up with general points is a good starting point, but you want to make sure you've got specific evidence to answer that exact question in the exam. Otherwise, your essay will come across as generic, and they don't give high marks to generic essays.
Okay, basically, we just said read the damn question.
Yeah, essentially read the damn question and read it very carefully. You say anything that's generic, they'll cap your mark on that, paragraph and say, this isn't adding much, I could have read this in the textbook. What makes what you're saying unique or special?
Yeah. That's really good. And often when we teach our students how to write essays, any essay, is every sentence you write, ask yourself, so what? So what? Does this address the question? And, you reread the question, and actually really useful exercise to do it, for every paragraph. Okay, is every sentence in this paragraph addressing the main question that I'm trying to answer? And if the answer is maybe or no, then you probably should cut it out.
Yeah, I completely agree. Loads of people go on weird tangents or think they're making one point, but they don't follow it up by explaining why that point's relevant. And it just ends up being a waste of your time. And maybe the examiner will also feel the same and go, why am I reading something that's not relevant? And then get a bit grumpy with you, which is not what you want.
No, not what you want.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Jamie, this has been really good. Just final roundup of 3 top tips from you on how to smash A-level politics.
For sure. So number 1, keep up with the news. I know not every module requires you to read the news if you're doing philosophy, in politics, not as much. But keep up with the news daily. Ask your teacher, if there's any specific articles that you think are important to what's going on now. Tip number 2 would be do essay practice as much as possible and try and make sure that when you do it, you're exercising all the skills. So you're evaluating, you're counter-arguing, you're applying to your counter-arguments. And then finally, as Sunny just said, make sure that every point that you're contributing to the essay or writing in your essay exactly matches up with what the question's asking you to do. If it isn't, cut the sentence. It's wasting your time, and you could have said something else in that time that will knock up your marks a bit more.
Jamie, this was very useful. Guys, all the best with your A-level politics. Do sign up for my newsletter in the link below. If you found this video useful, please like and subscribe. This would really mean a lot to us because we can get to more people. And all the best. And Jamie, thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Cheers.